Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
All righty, I am excited about our next guest. So you all know, full disclosure, sometimes when it takes me a long time to get the person, I'm kind of like, they finally made time for me. And this woman made time for us. We've been trying to get her for quite some time. And to have her here is truly a joy. And you all know we've been talking about food this season and bringing in Black business owners who either manufacture, perhaps they have a location that sells a number of things, because what we want to make sure with this segment around the holidays is people know where they can pop up, they can go online, they can prepare their holiday feast with all of these amazing businesses. We're not doing restaurants, guys, because we know that there is a number of platforms that highlight our restaurants, and we love that and we support them. What we want to talk about, places that you can stop and grab things that you love to bring comfort in this level of season, because you all know this season just makes you want to just cuddle up, snuggle up, whatever that is, cuddle, snuggle, I don't know, depending on that. So we are excited to bring this lovely woman to the podcast. And I will tell you all, she is a number of things. Okay. So while we're going to talk about one thing in the business that she has today, but I just want you all to know she's a powerhouse in her own right. She is the founder, she and her husband, Tracy Powell. They are the founder of Momentum Coffee, which is in Chicago. It is an independent coffee shop that aims to connect communities through delicious coffee, tea, pastries, and sandwiches. So for all of you guys that are outside of Chicago, you need to put Momentum Coffee on your list as a place that you can go, get some coffee, do work, even have a meeting there, right? Because the Momentum, they really do create community, and where they are in Chicago, I think it's also a cool space. So you definitely want to put that on your list. Their company has grown to 5 locations in 3 years. They are intentionally located in under-resourced areas of Chicago to serve as an economic driver in these neighborhoods. And we appreciate that because we need these places of coffee shops in those areas. And guys, she is a graduate of Florida A&M. I'm not a graduate of Florida A&M, but I am HBCU made. So I love when I get some of my HBCUs on the podcast, because we just have a good time and our love for our HBCU. So Nikki Bravo brings her combined 20 plus years of public sector, and I'll talk about that, and nonprofit management experience to build momentum. Hashtag build momentum, y'all. She made sure that she put that on there. So I'm going to make sure you all correct her by saying, no, she doesn't just have Momentum Coffee. She builds momentum. Hashtag. Welcome to the show, Nikki.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
And I'm happy that you are here. It took us a while to get you now.
It did.
We
had some things happen.
We had some things happen. And I'll allow for things to happen because we are out here lifing, baby, and adulting. So life as an entrepreneur is no easy feat. And certainly being able to come and do a podcast so that we can share the story of you and your husband and what you guys are doing with Momentum Coffee. But before we get into that, I want to know who Nikki is as a little girl.
Okay, Nikki as a little girl. So I grew up in Columbia, Maryland. And my parents are from the West Indies, so Jamaica and Trinidad.
I hear it a little bit.
People always say they can hear it, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
I do.
And I grew up on the East Coast of Maryland, right? So as a little girl, lots of fun, exposed to a lot of different things because I was traveling, my parents, taking us here and there.
Nice.
And that was just our way of being. I've always worked. I had a paper route from the time I was like 9 years old.
Okay. So you had the hustle. You had the hustle mentality. I love it.
And I have brothers, so I did a lot of riding bikes and climbing trees. So
she said riding bikes and climbing trees. Y'all, and she's a girly girl. Just so y'all know, she came in here real cute now.
Yeah,
so I want y'all to just picture that, okay? But she was climbing trees, okay?
Absolutely.
And I love it. I love that you're able to share that you climb trees and ride bikes as a female, as a woman, right? Because, as women, we have all these, right? All the girls, we wear the pigtails, we'll put our dresses, we cross our legs. But Nikki was like, no, I'm going to climb this tree. And I think that's beautiful. Let me, I want to hear, like, where did this coffee love come from? We've been talking about food, but obviously you came from the nonprofit space, right? And so kind of tell me how that love, or did the love just kind of come?
Okay, the love of coffee is really one that has grown on me, right?
Okay, thank you for that.
Yes, yeah. So it was really my husband's desire to have a coffee shop. Our first location in South Loop at 2119 South State Street really was intended to be coffee and co-working. Right, It was our second co-working space,
nice,
and the first coffee space. So our first space was at in Pilsen, at Blue Lacuna.
Yep,
right?
I remember.
So we're looking for this other space, and we said this time we're going to lead with coffee, because coffee and co-working really lend itself to one another and go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And he always wanted a coffee shop. So this is how this happened.
Now, is he the coffee drinker?
So he drinks coffee. I drink coffee,
okay,
but he drinks coffee.
Okay, so he's the coffee connoisseur.
He's the one who's like, we need these beans, and here's where they come from.
I love
and
it.
Throw that pot out. It's not good enough for my palate. That kind of stuff.
I love it.
That's him.
Okay. And then it's you who keeps it all together.
Keeps
right?
it together.
I was going to say there, because that non-profit.
Yes,
the A-type. You're an A-type personality?
I am. It's the
like, I am, and I'm okay with it.
I am, and we're a good balance with one another, right?
That's beautiful.
Because he brings the big ideas and the vision and pushing us forward, and let's do it while I'm planning, right? So we can't get stuck in my analysis, right? Paralysis, as they say.
Yeah.
Because he's like, okay, that's already done. The doors are open. I was like, okay, all right.
And you really do act like that, no, Nikki. You'd be like, what you like? Okay, I got you. You're absolutely right, Nikki. I agree. Do you think some of that came from, I think sometimes when you think about, like, we just, as, HBCUs, we just know how to just get ready. Like, we just know when the light turns on, we just get in position, right? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's an HBCU. I don't know, because I feel like when I hear business owners who come from it, it's like, you know what? We kind of didn't know what we turned the lights on, we opened the doors, and here we are.
Yes. Yeah. And I do have to credit a lot from my time at FAMU. And I was in the School of Business. I was in SBI. And so, there were a lot of things that you didn't necessarily know how that was going to play out later on, but structure and planning and knowing how to speak to people and getting ready and being in small rooms with big people, right? With big titles and being ready to do the things and answer the questions and speak and perform, if you will, to a certain extent. So I credit a lot of those building blocks early on from my time at FAM. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I feel that all the time. I feel like there is just, and I think we know community because we were part of the community, right? HBCUs are typically in under-resourced communities.
There you go.
And so we know what community is because we are living in it for 4 years. We're in it. And there was a little bit of pride, right? You said you went to FAM or you went to Clark and you go to Clark, so you finally felt, but you come back home, it was like, well, you are where? Okay, what? Where they do that at? But you felt like a little bit like a superstar, kind of like, I guess, if you were at Michigan State and people say stuff and it's like, oh, you went to State. But I feel like when you're in these HBCUs, in these small towns, in these under-resourced communities, the community responds well to the, to students. I mean, obviously we have crime. We get that. And I think, so when I think about the coffee shop and understanding. So I want to understand, like, there is a whole, like, the beans. So let's talk, right? Coffee shops, you know, in a lot of places, and I say even for me, I love the community, right? I'm not a coffee drinker, but I love to just go in there and, you know, I could get a pastry. I can get some tea. I can get some, but I can also feel the community. But I do, so full disclosure, but I do love the smell of the beans, the coffee beans. Yeah. It's something about the coffee beans that just does it for me. You know, like when you're shopping for perfume, it's like, it just makes you feel good. It's not something I drink. So I really want to understand the bean process of it because I am intrigued by it. Won't drink it, but I am intrigued by it. I am. For me. And I bet you listeners are like, me too. Why does it smell so good? And I'm sure we've got coffee drinkers that's like, yeah, I want a different kind of coffee. And so understanding how the process that you all have from a bean standpoint.
Well, I will say for us, so we're Momentum Coffee, so certainly we're leading with coffee. Yes. And I'll just say that our drinks as well are coffee forward, meaning we do have the sweet drinks, but most of the drinks are, especially our espresso drinks, you're going to taste coffee, right? Okay. And so that would be a difference from maybe some, another shop, right? Okay. That may have a lot of sweets.
Got it.
I'm not going to.
Got it.
Yep. And that's a thing, but we made a decision that we wanted to taste the coffee. Why did we want to taste the coffee? We wanted to taste the coffee because the beans are good and they're roasted intentionally, right? And we use a Black-owned roaster, right? That's right here in Chicago that's been doing this for over 30 years. And we want you to taste, right? And so he's procuring these beans and he's roasting them and putting a blend together of beans that we utilize that we call our kinetic blend, right? It's a blend of 2 beans for our drip to create a distinct taste and a uniform and a consistent taste for us, for people who just want to drink their coffee black, but want to not brown water, right? They want to have some flavor and have some notes to it and some consistency. And so that's one part. And then our espresso is 5 beans, right? It's a blend of 5 different beans.
And tell me what are those beans?
Okay, so no, I won't tell you all those beans because my husband knows all the beans.
Got it, Nikki. I love it. She's like, no. So, but they're 5 like completely different beans.
I will tell you that they're African beans from different regions that are blended together.
Nice.
Yeah. So you would think that I would have it all committed to memory, but guess what?
That's okay. That's not your ministry. You made it very clear. You were like, that's not my ministry. You started it very clear. It's like, my husband does coffee. I manage all the other stuff. So I got it. I'm clear. But there's 5 different coffee beans. And they're types of beans. Out of the country, right? So you guys get, okay.
And so, and that again is with intention, right? To come out with a particular flavor. Okay. I can tell if people mixed up the beans. I can tell what it's supposed to taste like. I just can't tell you what's the region for each one.
That's okay. And I'm okay with that.
I do know for the drip, it's Ethiopia and Tanzania. I could tell you that one.
Okay.
Yeah, but,
that's all right. Yeah. So what we have to do is have people come into Momentum and ask that question from Tracy.
Exactly.
That's what we got to do, Nikki. So that's okay. Because what we need to understand is that this is run by Nikki Wiles and Nikki and Tracy. And so when you go in, so let me say this, Nikki is a woman and Tracy is a man. Yes. So I just want to make sure because, Tracy's can be a female, right? Yes. So, I mean,
It works out sometimes when we have to pick up things, right? When I go to pick up, they're like, what's the name? I'm like, Tracy. You don't get any questions.
Love it,
answering the phone, yes. What is it that you need? No questions. No questions are asked.
I love it.
So it works out.
I love it. It works out. And so when you guys were, thinking about, because I do remember the co-working space, and that's where I first learned of Momentum there in the co-working space when I would work in the co-working space. And so when we think about coffee, I really want to talk through, because when you think about, and I say this with Starbucks, right? Mm-hmm. You've got Starbucks that has, oh my gosh, 1,000, right? Thousands. Yeah. And then, and when you think about it, and I know this, initially they did not come up with a coffee. They got somebody, they brought this in, and they just created the community. You could walk in there, you could work all day, you never have to purchase. And that worked for them, right? And so it was about this level of experience and community, right? I've talked to people and they said, for coffee drinkers, Starbucks isn't their number one, right? Merely because they feel like it's too strong or what have you. I don't know. So we're talking about this place of food. We're talking about, so many families are now going to Starbucks as kind of like an outing. How do you see in this space as a small coffee shop that is Black owned? How do you see that transforming? Because the other thing that I wanted to mention is, Starbucks is starting to get away from you coming into their space. Mm-hmm. You got to get on the app, you come and pick up and go. How does that impact, what that looks like for momentum as they're building places for communities to thrive and for you to have coffee?
Yeah, absolutely. So you hit it on the head, right? Starbucks is moving away from that model of coming in and sitting down and all
you can
of
sit
those
there
things.
all day.
Yeah, right. We're moving away from that. Moving away from that model. And I'm not against Starbucks. I feel
Correct.
like there's enough coffee
Absolutely.
and enough coffee places around, and variety really is great, right?
Yes.
I like for people
Yes.
to be able to have some different things. And so where I see momentum being different is that we are intentional about community, about people coming in. And so what is that? It can look like different things, right?
Okay.
You got community of coffee drinkers, like people who like a particular drink or come for the seasonal kinds of things. We're in areas like, say, for instance, South Loop. You've got the gym down the street that we know the folks and they come. You have the school that's kitty corner, right? Where they come in and grab some food before before school. Before and after school. And so that's where you start to see different people coming in. We're a place where the police had a seniors meeting the other day. I think that was on yesterday, had a meeting in the space, right? And they weren't far away, but they just learned about us. And the seniors were in the area and they said, we didn't know about this place. Oh my goodness. And then this is what always happens. They lean in and say softly, is this Black owned?
Wow.
I don't know why everybody always whispers.
Wow.
But our team is saying, yes, absolutely. They were like, we're coming back. And so what I think it does is, like, sometimes you talk about community as it is a location and physically, but I think that there's also really a thing of a community of people who want to support small businesses, see them thrive, see businesses and people, businesses that are hiring people that look like them, right? That could be them, that are giving great service, giving great food, providing variety, things that are healthy, like just giving things that are that the community deserves, that's right? Good, and so I think in that, and speaks to people in a different way as well, right? Like, it doesn't only have to look like this. And so as Momentum Coffee moves forward and continues to do what we do and build through collaboration and partnership, people will understand, I know them. I know them for their quality. I know them for the service. I know them for the experience I'm going to have when I walk into the space, that I'm welcome no matter what I look like, right? Correct. So one of the things is we've got everybody coming in our spaces, because we're in South Loop, we're in Inglewood, we're in North Lawndale, we're in Millennium Park, and and our latest is in Austin. And so we see lots of different people, awesome, coming through. And regardless, we want to be that welcoming space.
And I think, to your point, I love that you share, I love variety, and I think it's so important in the diversity of it all. But knowing what you're being intentional about, right? And being intentional to say that we're creating a space for all people to come. If you want coffee, if you want a pastry, if you want to hang out with other coffee drinkers. And so, because in this space, I have this picture, Nikki. It's been a while, but I was at a coffee shop. I can't remember, but it's on 57th Street, right? It's where Medici, for those of you all in Chicago, that whole thing. And so they built, like a little bakery. I don't know if you know a coffee shop there. And I sat there one day in that park. So to your point, it was a school right across the street. And one of the things that they were missing out on is when you talked about the kids, that there wasn't a place for them that wasn't like, you know, a restaurant. Again, this isn't a restaurant, but like, I just want to go and get a Danish, or I just want to go get some hot chocolate, or whatever that case may be. And so they built that part. And the part that is, I think, is also great that I see that coffee shops bring, and I definitely see it for what you guys are doing of Momentum, is that families can all go in, right? And get that. And it's like even McDonald's, right? Growing up, parents would go get their coffee. I would go get my hot chocolate. We would get I think at the time, the Danish, they would have the hot Danish and some pancakes, you know, for that moment before we were going to a meeting. Yeah. So it was that, but we didn't have these coffee shops. We didn't have these places where we could go in there and that we can build on that. And I think that that's the space. And I think when we're talking about like fall and holiday seasons, you know, people tend to be inside, right? But I think coffee shops tend to make people want to come outside. And I say that, do you find that? Like, I just want to go somewhere warm and cozy, get me a warm and cozy drink. Is that something that, do you all see, like when it does get cold, obviously people stay in, but do you find that they just want that place of warmth and coziness for the winter when it gets really, really cold and windy in Chicago?
Absolutely. Because as you said, we're in the house a lot.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people just want to get out of the house. Yeah. You don't want to be stuck indoors. Yeah. And you want to go someplace where you know you can sit and you can get something and you can, like you say, drink. And it's also a nice place where people will meet, right? So people meet at Momentum. Like it's just, I have people all the time, they're like, I wanted to invite somebody, but my house was not ready for it. And so those serve as our spaces serve as a space for people to come and meet someone. It also, you know, if you don't want to spend too much time, you know, there's a beginning and end.
I love it. I love it.
You know,
yeah.
but it is, right? Where people can come and meet and connect, whether it's, it becomes a halfway point, right?
That's
so
true.
Those are the things that kind of work out for folks. I only had a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
We get, not only people who live in the area and in the neighborhoods, but our South Loop space is close to McCormick Place. And so you have people that want to get off campus, you know, they want to get out of there for their meetings. And so they'll come to the space
nice.
and also just for different scenery. I think people, I always wonder what makes them think, is it Black owned, right? So I don't know if it's because they see people behind the bar, but that are of color.
Right.
But I think it's sometimes the artwork, right?
I think so.
Yeah. But they don't know.
Yeah.
But we use it in all of our spaces. Joe Nelson, it goes by Cujo Dot, does all of our artwork in our space.
Oh, nice.
And I think that's another thing where you get to see the space, that there's different elements, right? Including the pictures on the wall or the murals that he does in those spaces that just give you something else to look at and enjoy, right? And you can see something a little bit different every time you come, right? Yeah, because when you're looking at the same thing. And so I think that's what it serves to do, right? And I think what's important about like small businesses like Momentum is that people continue to come so that we can be there. So we can be those spaces.
That's right.
And we can continue to be those spaces when you're like, oh, I just need some coffee. Right?
Yeah.
I have people that are in town. I need to grab something for them and I'm not making breakfast. So I need to get to get a croissant sandwich. So, you know, we do, so they'll get their breakfast sandwiches. We've had many of, you know, people come in, their mother-in-laws are in town. They're not cooking.
I see.
You know what I mean? Or near the holidays, especially as you're speaking about, you may want to spend time on the big dinner.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but you got to feed the cook.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Correct.
So you have to have some nourishment.
Correct.
So absolutely, when you're talking about the season, right? Where do shops like ours come in when people are coming in the shop? Yeah, absolutely. And then sometimes people are ordering you know, for 10 or something like that, to take a box of mo to go and some pastries, right?
Yeah.
But again, so they can bring some of that comfort home as well.
And I think, you know, as I was, you know, sitting there and thinking, you know, have been in there a few times, it does have a good energy that you just, build momentum, right? So it creates, and I think the other piece that I always say is that when you're in coffee shops, you don't know who you're going to run into. Like, I also think it just brings out, it's weird. And I'm not mad at Starbucks for what they're doing, but I think that to me, it's definitely going to shift them because, and I say it's also going to create opportunity for coffee shops like Momentum, because I think part of it was that people wanted to feel community. People wanted that, right? And so the idea that I could sit there and maybe I'm in a need of a great nail tech, and just by sitting there and talking, oh, I have one, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to do that. So I think that is important. I did want to ask you, do you all sell coffee beans like on its own if people want to make it at home?
Absolutely. So we do. Nice. So we'll have them packaged in 12-ounce bags, the kinetic or the velocity, as you talked about energy, right? So those are the names, and we use that because our logo is the power button. So we're always talking about empowerment and operating from a place of empowerment. So you'll hear that a lot in the things that we talk about, and our reason for being, is really about empowering people and communities, whether it's employment opportunities, that we're creating by being in particular areas, or just by virtue of being open, right? Mm-hmm. And the physical changes that you make by investing in communities, mm-hmm. and creating a coffee shop, those types of things, mm-hmm. And creating the spaces, right, mm-hmm. where people get to meet and greet and come up with ideas and, in a comfortable space.
I think it's so important that you guys are creating that because, again, I think there were businesses that were created years ago in Starbucks, mm-hmm. And they're now, I want to think $1 million businesses, mm-hmm. because they were bringing their teams in when they didn't have any coffee shops. There weren't any places for them to go. And you could go in there, work all day, come up with your idea, present. For some people, it was, I know this girl was like, I used to just go there before I had a pitch and mm-hmm. just go in there for a minute and just sit with some people. And then I was ready, so creating that I think is so important. And so I question, we had a guest and she talks from a standpoint of comfort food. Do you think that coffee serves as comfort?
Absolutely. Yeah. A warm cup of coffee, right? So I think one of the things that can be comfortable about coffee is like, it's coffee, right? Like I'm going to get it. It's going to be, there's some familiarity there, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's one thing. Like when you want it, the light's on, I'm going in there, I'm getting some coffee. Mm-hmm. They have some coffee. And when you come to Momentum, you're going to get good coffee. That feels good, right? Mm-hmm. Being welcomed, mm-hmm. like greeted.
Yeah.
Like seen. When you come through the door.
Yeah, that scene is powerful. That
scene, right? Mm-hmm. There's some comfort in that. Maybe you're like, wait, they say, yes, we see you. What can we get started for you today, right? Yeah. Like any conversation like that you have. I think there's comfort there, right? And then we've got, the comfort in, after eating, right? So our most popular sandwich is the chicken sausage, egg and cheese croissant, right? Yes, mm-hmm. It's good.
Mm-hmm. It's
good. It's the most popular. People love it, and that's what they get. And they're like, they love it. It's consistent. I want that again. I want what I got last time. Can I get that again? Yes, I want to try that. Right. So there's some comfort in that, right? Yeah. And in that we have tea for our non
like
coffee coffee drinkers, and mm-hmm. so we've got tea sachets, and we've got, chai tea. Mm-hmm. And again, those warm drinks. And I think there's also comfort in when you come to a shop where we're not coffee snobs, right? So it's like, right? So
I love that.
It's like, I'm not sure. Okay, let me get you there. What are we getting today? Yeah. Coffee, tea. What do you like? Sweet, this or whatever. You know what I mean? It really is like, what's going to serve you today? Like, what are we looking to get, right? Mm-hmm. No judgments. You want the extra sugar? You got it.
That's awesome.
Right? Yeah, because you
you said it. It's comfort. It's your comfort.
It's your
comfort.
And
I do remember, I think I went there. I didn't know what I wanted. And I will say, I was like, I think I want this. I think I want this. And the tea, we normally try this. Would you like? I said, what's your number one? And what do you do? You did. And I think that is different from, in other spaces, right? It is that in creating that but I will go back to hashtag build momentum, right? So whatever's going to build the momentum for you, y'all gonna make sure you got it. And I think that is something I forgot that time. I didn't know what I wanted. I think I stopped in there waiting on somebody and didn't know what I wanted. And I was like, and they were like, we got you. We're going to put something together. I was like, okay. And then I think I was like, oh, now wait a minute. This is not so bad. Yeah. You know, and when I say not so bad in the sense of I didn't know what I want.
You didn't know what you were going to get.
I didn't know what
you didn't know what you were going to get.
Correct.
Right. You were like,
and
okay.
so I was like, oh, this is great. So in this place, I want to make sure that we tell people how they can learn about momentum. Now, are you all on Instagram? Y'all on a number of different things. Your website. I would like to be able to, you can share some of that right now.
Okay. So I think we got all the things, all the handles. So our website is momentumcoffee.org.
Okay.
Our Instagram is Momentum Coffee Chicago.
Okay.
Our Facebook is Momentum Coffee and Co-working.
Okay.
LinkedIn, Momentum Coffee and Co-working.
Yeah.
And I think we even have TikTok. We do.
Oh.
I know, right? Momentum Coffee and Twitter, X, whatever they calling it today.
Whatever they call it, we there too.
We're there too, and
We're
that's
there.
Momentum Coffee. Yeah,
I love it.
A lot of the different places in order to.
Now, are you able to order through Grubhub and those places? Are you guys on those platforms too?
So we are on DoorDash and Uber Eats, but also Square Online. So if you go to our website, you can order directly. It'll say order now, and then you can order now.
So do you guys get a lot of online orders, don't you?
We are starting to, because again, we're getting into the season where people want to be able to get things and go. I think there's another thing about, knowing that you're going to get, when it's ready, when you get there and being able to order ahead and still getting quality and those types of things. So we are.
That's good.
Yeah, we are.
That's good.
It's good.
Do you think when we think about the whole thing of, AI and coffee, what do you think about that?
Oh, AI and coffee.
How do you use AI for coffee?
Well, I think you can use AI for things like generating ideas with regard to what you want to share with people. So here's what I would say. We're in it every day. Okay. So I'm not necessarily thinking, oh, did you want to know that I took pictures with the lieutenant governor yesterday? She was at the Austin location and she supports small business, right? She's a big proponent of small business. She was wonderful and stopped and took pictures with the team. And I just have to tell you this. I hope you have time for me to tell you because
I love
we're
Juliana.
also building people, right? And when I say people, I'm talking about our team. And so we've got people that know different things and have been exposed to different things. And so we have a great partnership out at Build, where our Austin location. And I said, hey, this was about, I think it was a forum that they were holding. Okay. I gave my team the flyer so they could see, because they rushed all morning to get the catering together for at the location for, 150 people, right? And then they were looking, they were like, oh, the lieutenant governor. Oh, wait, that's her? Wait, she's here? Okay, wait. There was I'm glad they're able to ask me questions, right? They're like, that's higher than the mayor, right? And so I went through and explained to them, this is who this is. This is what she's up to. This is what we're doing. Here's who you're in the room with, right? And then she came and stopped and spoke to them.
Nice.
And they were just like on cloud nine. Right?
You can't get that in AI though. That's right. Good.
But AI will help you to understand, share these things with people, right? Here's a content calendar. Here are the things that you need to share.
Sure. Big
and small, so that people better understand what you're up to. Yes, it's coffee. Yes, it's comfort, but the comfort is on lots of different levels. The comfort is you drinking it, but the comfort is also with people who may not have doubted themselves and what their abilities were, but now are baristas and know that they've delivered something that had a positive impact on somebody else that's walking away. Now they're not afraid to say, enjoy that. right? And so there's the confidence that is built, right? And they're developing their skills and interacting with people. And then it just keeps going, right? It's like, you're getting the positive, you're giving the positive, you're getting the positive. And so all of those things are happening. And so I would say AI is really behind the scenes, but can help us with sharing our message, with sharing content, with coming up with ideas of things that I might think are just like every day, like it's just happening, but helping to see what's important to share out there. So I think that could help.
I think it does, it doesn't. So one thing that I've noticed that some industries you can't replace, people. I mean, because when you think about your business, I mean, I wouldn't want robots telling me, because I'm like, no. When it comes to that level, because it's personal, right? I think that hot drink is personal, and that might be me. I think it's very personal, and I know they're moving, but it's not the same, because it's that conversation. What's your favorite drink, and why do you want that conversation, So I do see that different, and purchasing my shoes could be different. My boots, I could be different. It could be a little different, Nikki. But,
a robot coming out, bringing the different sizes. They do have it, though. Yeah, they have those bars where
I know
where it's just robots and making the drink, and you can get the consistency. And again, though, it depends on what you're up to, right?
Correct.
And so if it was just about coffee, then maybe robots, maybe robots, but it's not just about coffee.
Correct.
It's about people and connections with people and opportunities to collaborate for people and people to build people, right? So we created an apprenticeship program through the Department of Labor to teach people, right, and this business and become food managers and
I love it.
Run stores, and so that they can begin to deliver this type of the same thing, build these kind of this product, this service, right, in different areas, right? Really having that be able to spread out, so that while we become further and further away, because we've got so many things in AI and people are responding, being intentional about keeping some places where there's the people. Yes. Connections.
And let me say this. And so knowing that, and we ask this with every guest, why do Black businesses matter?
Yeah. So Black businesses matter, right? Because there's Black people.
I love it.
There's Black people. So let's just start at the base. I would say businesses and small businesses matter, right?
Okay.
We know that, right? You probably have said a million times the statistics around how many businesses there are, small businesses, and the hiring that small businesses do. Really, that backbone of our society, of our economy, right? And then you've got Black businesses on top of that, right? If we lay that layer, and that's important because we need to be represented, and because we're not a monolith, right? It's like different. We need lots of Black businesses because there's lots of different Black people, right? That want lots of different things and services. And so I just believe and understand that we as a society, it serves society, right? To be able to see people and Black people. So, and the excellence, right? At a level of excellence and serving and delivering where it almost becomes like a non-thing, non-issue of Black or white or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it just is. I think Black businesses matter because Black children need to see Black businesses. And I want to share this with you. So on Saturdays, we host a robotics program in our space. There's a young man, Solomon, who's been in the program for a while. And he says, you know what we should do? You know what we should have on the menu? And I said, what? He said, we should have bacon, egg, and cheese croissants. And I said, why? And he said, the sausage is good, but I really like bacon, and I think people will like it too. And let me tell you, for years, people have wanted us to do bacon, and I just hadn't done it because I'm trying to figure out how to source it and this and that. But I had a different listening of Solomon because he said we.
Wow.
He said, you know what, we should. He was invested in momentum. he saw himself as a part of this. And so you know what we did? I went and found the bacon.
Wow. I know you did.
He came back. His sister asked about it. The next week, did you get the bacon? Did you get it? Not yet. Not yet. Miss Nikki, did you get it? Not yet. And then a few weeks later, there was a little break, came back. And I said, hey, come over here. Look what's on the menu. Wow. And he looked and his jaw dropped. Wow. And so, I'm sorry about that. And so his jaw dropped and he was so happy. Wow. And his sister was happy and she wanted to negotiate like what was his percentage, you know, because it's on the menu. We have a lot of business. But so why does that matter, right? That matters. Our Black businesses matter because we're being seen by so many, sometimes that you don't even realize the impact that you're having. And we've said before, you can't be it if you don't see it. And whether you believe that or not, in this case, what he was left with is that I am an entrepreneur. And that's what he was telling people.
I love it. I mean,
and he's like 8 or 9,
best.
like he's 8 or 9 years old. And just it matters, right?
Yeah.
That matters.
Black children. I love that. Yeah. I've asked that question every time. And most people give me chills, but that one certainly did give me chills too, because of the children and feeling that and making sure that, it's just powerful. I'm like, wow, because he said we, and I think that's such a power. I do. Yeah. I think that word is such a powerful word. And for him to say it, to see himself there and to insert himself in there is pretty powerful, Nikki. So that's powerful. Oh my gosh. It's a little tearjerker. It's a tearjerker. What brings you joy?
What brings me joy? So I would say family brings me joy. I have a 10-year-old. Tracy and I have a 10-year-old. Nice. And being able to spend time with her absolutely brings me joy. To see her excited about Momentum Coffee and what we're building, and her telling her friends and her teachers and her, what are we going to have next, and coming up with ideas of things. And, it's Halloween. We should have a witch's brew. What about that, Mom? And her saying, I want to sit in the interviews to make sure we have quality.
Well, that's your child. That's you and Tracy's child for real. She's saying that.
And it just is wonderful to see, right? Yeah. Like in front of you, what happens when you expose, children to more, right? When you expect more, when you do that. And so for me, it's just it really is seeing life through her eyes brings me so much joy, right? It really does. It can just be watching TV. It can be her, whatever the case may be. But I would say absolutely, like, she's hilarious.
I love it. Lots
of belly laughs. We're very silly. We laugh a lot and we dance and twerk. And so she could tell me to stop twerking. And I'm like, I'm not doing it right. She was like, no, Mom.
I love it.
So she's, lots of fun.
That's awesome.
With her. My mom says we have our own TV show. Yeah.
Well, that might be in the making. I'm just saying. Because, those little kids, when they come up with something, they see stuff that we don't see. So I think it's powerful. And I love that. Because I was going to ask you, do you all have specials during the holidays, like pumpkin spice or things like that? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. But we got a 10-year-old that's behind the machine.
She's there making sure what's happening. Yeah. So we do for the holidays, right? So we'll have the hot chocolate and the peppermint hot chocolate. That's very big downtown at the Millennium Park location because it's right there by the skating rink. Yep. This year we're going to bring for our tea people a chai cider.
Ooh,
I know.
Chai cider.
It's new. You heard it here first.
Okay,
We haven't
heard
even-
it. I love when Black business matters. When we break, we like, yes.
You're breaking. This is your breaking news. We're going to do a chai cider. We've done all the taste tests and things like that.
I love it.
And then, of course, like pumpkin spice, and we do a caramel apple butter on the sweeter side, a caramel apple butter latte, and then has all the whipped cream and things on it as well. So we'll do some of those seasonal types of things, and a white chocolate mocha. Peppermint white mocha. Peppermint white mocha we'll do with some, the little candy on the top. So we'll do that. And then in the spirit of comfort, also new, we're going to be bringing soup and chili, right? Nice. Yeah.
So Nikki, I know I'm just going to say this. That's one thing. I'm trying to understand why coffee shops don't sell chili. So y'all just made my day, even though I don't eat meat anymore. But I've said that because I see... Like that's all perfect. So I'm pulling it out there, momentum.
Yes.
That there are people like me who really, really love chili. I don't eat meat anymore, but I've told people you can put beans, you can put vegetables in there. That is an open. I'm serious.
Yes.
Like literally. So I'm putting it out there.
Yes.
Okay. I won't charge y'all for it. I won't. I won't be like that. No, wait. Look, like Solomon was like, I'm trying to figure out what my cut.
Now, what do I get?
It's like, no. So I'm going to be like Solomon. We would like chili.
Yes.
Like a vegetable or plant-based chili.
Yes.
We would want that.
Yes.
So, I mean, it would be nice for the South Loop location, but I also think Millennium Park would love it too. Look at me. Yes. Millennium Park would love it too. I think they would love it too. And I think maybe even the West Side. Just putting it out there. So you all heard it first here. They've got chai cider coming up. We just heard it. So get you some. And I think there's chili in the making.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that chili in the making.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I just want to say, Nikki, this was truly a pleasure to have you on this show. I want to make sure before we wrap up, you share your handles again, your website. I love for people to say that again, so that people can make sure how they can learn about you guys, certainly learn about where they can order, and certainly where they can get that chai cider that is new on the menu. And of course the bacon, right? The bacon. Because there's a lot of bacon folks out here. Now he's right. There's a lot of bacon folks out there. So I want to make sure you drop that in there. And then your locations again in Chicago.
Absolutely. So this has been lovely. Thank you so very much, and fun to talk about, taking the time, right?
Yes.
To talk about the business and what we're doing, because sometimes you just are in it so
agree.
much that you don't do those things. So we're located in South Loop at 2119 South State Street. We're in Inglewood, 1122 West 63rd. Okay. We are at North Lawndale, 2644 West Ogden. Okay. We are in Millennium Park, which is 11 North Michigan, right under the Bean, right? And we are in Austin, in the Build Youth and Community Center, nice. And that is 5100 West Harrison. Okay. And so you can certainly order online at our website, momentumcoffee.org, and then you'll select order now, and then you can do pickup. You could also do delivery through that. Okay. Or you can use one of the other, apps like Uber or DoorDash.
Okay.
And so our Instagram is Momentum Coffee Chicago.
Okay.
And Facebook is Momentum Coffee and Co-working. And those are the ones where you'll primarily see most of the apps. And we've got, all our Google My Business and things like that. You can certainly see some of the other types of updates on our LinkedIn, which is Momentum Coffee and Co-working, where we share some of the other aspects of business and entrepreneurship in particular, where we talk about some of our challenges and opportunities and share that with other entrepreneurs. So we do that on our LinkedIn channel.
Yes. And let me say this, Nikki and Tracy are just wonderful beings. I've met Tracy separately and then met Nikki later, and it was just like, oh my gosh. And so had seen him so much in the co-working space, and then met you. And then someone was like, you need to know Tracy. And I was like, I've met him. I was like, girl, Tracy and Nikki. I was like, I don't know Nikki. And then you walked in one time and I was like, oh, I do know her. But sometimes when you have the husband, it's Tracy and the wife, we just, and sometimes you don't. So when she said it, I was like, oh, yes, I know Nikki. So guys, we have Nikki Bravo, and I want to make sure she is the wife of Tracy Powell. But a lot of times that is what happened, right? Yep, and so absolutely. I just want to make sure, because certainly I did not. I was like, I know Tracy, but I don't think I know his wife. And then when you walked in, I was like, I do know her. Right, so that I'm sure people do that all the time.
Yes.
From that space. So I know you get that a lot. So I just want to thank you all. This has been awesome. You all know we've been talking about food. Please, check out some of the new featured items on the menu. Certainly, if you want to go and take your family, if you want to just go and do community and just be amongst the space, it just feels good inside and just get you some comfort, whatever that comfort is for you, whether that's a pastry, whether that's a sandwich, or whether that is a cup of coffee, whatever that is, you will get that at Momentum, because their hashtag is Build Momentum. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you so much. And I thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. See you next week.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.